Welcome to
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hey,
Hi,
Carol.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi,
Hi,
Carol, a Pluribus podcast about Apple TV plus a show, Pluribus. My name is Catfish, and with me, as always, it's someone who named an entire podcast Got Milk when milk was only featured in the first episode of the show. It's Bubba!
Catfish, we are at the exact midway point of Pluribus Season 1. We're on episode 5. There are 9 episodes total. We've seen 4 previous episodes. We've got 4 episodes coming. This is the midpoint. Can't wait to talk about episode 5.
Episode 5, Got Milk. Carol doubles down on her investigation, Loneliness Be Damned. Meanwhile, howls in the night reveal a new source of danger. Ooh.
We got a big debate coming up in this podcast, Catfish.
Oh, boy.
We do it every week. If you are new to us here at Double P Podcast, Double PHQ, we love to talk shows, but also kind of debate the big thing around them. This week, I put out something on social media, our social media accounts at Double PHQ. I said, hey, this week's Pluribus episode is coming out on Wednesday, not Friday. We got a response from somebody who's at Sadie Baudet, and they wrote, wow, we can fall asleep during it on Wednesday instead of Friday this week. Wow.
Oh, damn, Bubba, that is so harsh. But, Bubba, here we are again. I gave the show some S's last week for being a slow show, and it feels like the show itself is doubling down on really taking things carefully. Bubba, what rating did you give this week's episode?
Hi, Carol.
Got Milk?
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Well,
Hi,
Catfish,
Carol.
I'm going to give it 8 double A's out of 10.
Oh, yeah, the double A's. Wait, double A's?
Double A's based on this episode stands for Adios Albuquerque. The joined are catching the first bus, every
out.
bus out of town. Right. Catch you later. Good riddance. Holy smokes. Now, a little behind the scenes talk here, listeners.
Let them know.
I write my notes in every episode, and a lot of times I try to write little things to remind myself, well, how did I feel when I saw this part of the episode? So in this episode 5, I had the following notes out of context, but I had damn, I had oh snap, I had LOL, I had oh snap again, and then I had an OMG. So a lot of things happened in this episode.
Good.
And so in some ways you would think I would be 10 out of 10. I'm only 8 out of 10 because I still feel a bit of the pacing problems that some of our listeners have felt, and it's going to be our big debate topic in a bit. So 8 out of 10 for me. Catfish, what rating did you give episode 5, Got Milk?
Well, I gave this episode 7 out of 10 triple B's.
Triple B's?
Yeah, as we all know, that stands for Basic Butthurt Bunch. That's what the Hive Mind is this week. They're a bunch of basic people, and they're a butthurt.
Oh.
But this one was even slower than last week's, which I complained about being slow. And there's still some nice bits in it. I mean, well, mostly the drone, which was fabulous. And the cliffhanger believes me to believe that next week will be great. Although I'm also wondering, there are some streaming shows, and I'm hoping this is going to be one of them, where it's sort of slow and not much happens, and then boom, there's a cliffhanger to bring you back the next week, and things don't really pick up again. I mean, we had that one episode where Carol stopped the plane, and we're like, oh, she's going to have a real conversation. That didn't happen. It got forgotten. Now, I don't think that whatever...
She did stop the plane and get Soja back. So we didn't see it, but stopping the plane, it's not that nothing happened. It's just we thought it might be bigger, but it was simply stop the plane. Right. I want my compatriot back.
Yes. I'm assuming this is going to be something big. Maybe it's not what we're all thinking, but I'm really excited for next week because we finally have the true hero of this show, Mr. Diabate, back to inject some fun. And now listen.
Yeah.
You made a caveat a few weeks ago. I'm making the caveat now. For all our listeners who love this show, and are sticking to the pod, but are like, how can I keep listening to these people who are knocking the show? Just keep listening to the pod and telling us while we are flat out wrong. We will read your feedback dissing us. I can only assume that if you're still watching the show, you dearly love the pace of it because I know some people who found episodes that I really liked slow, and as the episodes have gotten slower, they are out already. So I
Whoa.
assume if you're out,
Whoa.
you're not listening to this podcast, and if you are listening to the podcast, it's because you love it. So listen, we're going to talk about all the cool things that happened. A lot of times, we give it low ratings and then we talk about the amazing things that happened. Stick with us. Tell us why we're wrong. We're happy to hear why we're wrong.
Heck yeah.
And along with that, I'm just going to beg you even more. If you're going to tell us how we're wrong, there's lots of ways you can do it. You can comment on Spotify. You can comment on YouTube. You can tweet at us. You can blue sky at us at double PHQ. You can even email us hello at doublepmedia.com. Reach out to us. Tell us why we're wrong. Bubba, you and I have done a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And compared to how many people are listening to this show, we are getting so much more feedback
Heck yeah.
per listener, and we love it. We love it. This is people are very strong on both sides of this issue, of all the issues about how we should handle this hive mind, about Carol. People are have strong opinions, and we love it.
We love it. It is Thanksgiving week here in the United States, 2025. And we want to thank you for listening, for watching, for giving these comments, like Catfish said.
Heck yeah.
There are 52 weeks in a year. And for
Are there?
2025, we've already released 56 podcasts. And we're going to release at least 5 more, this podcast, in the next 4 episodes. So we are going to end up with 61 podcasts out in 52 weeks. And we want you to join us in 2026. In 2026, January of 2026, we're going to be redoing the latest A Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones show, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're going to do Silo Season 3, House of the
Love
Dragon Season 3, Only Murders in the Building Season 6, Slow Horses Season 6, possibly, if it gets a U.S. release, Babylon Berlin Season 5, and probably some new shows too. Who knows if The Terror, The Devil in Silver will ever be released? FX is hiding it right now. If there's a show you want us to cover and talk with you because you're the third person in this podcasting talk, please go down in the comments and let us know.
Hi, Carol. Hi,
Love
Carol.
it, Bubba.
Hi,
All right,
Carol.
so
Hi, Carol.
Bubba, like you said, we always like to start off with, we've got a lot of foolishness we like to inject, whether a show is serious or not. In fact, the more serious it is, the more foolish we like to be,
Oh, yes.
just to inject some humor into it. But we're going to start off with a serious question here, Bubba.
Heck yeah.
This is the big question. And I have seen a lot of just headlines for reviews for this episode, praising it,
Yeah.
loving it. But I've had an issue that was kind of a big bang, what happened, and then we're sort of slowly trickling things out. So is Pluribus too slow? And Bubba, even
Yeah.
before we ask the question, it's probably because I said something about it last week and people are already ready to punch me in the face. We got some feedback about that, Bubba.
Heck yeah. Now, remember last week's episode, it began down in South America as we were meeting this new character silently for 10 minutes. We were both like, boy, this is a great episode, but these first 10 minutes that are slow, we had trouble with it. Now there's a bit of pacing trouble we might have in this episode 5. Our feedback begins with people who didn't mind it, who disagree with us. We love all opinions. Our good friend Pat Spinagle wrote us and said, even if you two did not appreciate the first part of that episode, my wife and I were quite engaged. And maybe, just maybe, we enjoy the Vince Gilligan process of unfolding things without commentary way more than you guys do. So thank you so much, Pat Man. We love it.
I agree, and I promised to be okay with the show moving forward slowly, and then I reneged on my promise. So these feel a little bit like, and it's funny, especially without the other people. These episodes start to feel a little bodily,
Oh, yeah.
bodily, like
Yeah.
the bottle episodes where they're confined. As we both said, even though we've had problems with it being slow, it's an extremely well put together show with some great acting and some great writing.
So
So,
Batman didn't mind it. Here
mhm.
on Threads, our good friend Camille, who's at CamShay23 on Threads, she wrote, I'm enjoying Pluribus, but I'm ready for it to take more steps forwards. It feels a bit slow. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Now,
Wayne, Ro-
contradicting that, yeah, Wayne Rogers says, I know Bubba likes fast action, violent confrontation, and witty dialogue. I don't think Wayne is besmirching you the way I am, but that's why I wanted to read this so I could diss you. So I understand why this cold opening was a real snooze fest for him. But this is one of the deepest and quickest character developments in this series so far. Manusos is an interesting man.
we have Mark Walker, who's on Spotify, who wrote, Hi,
Hi,
Carol.
Carol.
Hi,
Hi,
Catfish.
Catfish.
Spotify is my new place to listen to your podcast and annoy you with comments of ridiculous doubles and triples that I know it's your favorite listening spot, Spotify. Episode 3 was very much as you described it. We didn't learn anything new with no continuation from the end of episode 2. I'm halfway through episode 3 and an old wise proverb from some actor guy came to me. What is that proverb? Well, according to
Skip
Mark, it's skip
ahead.
ahead. Ouch. So Catfish, people are either with the pacing or kind of tough on it. And kind of, I think we've talked about our stuff, but I want to go
Yeah.
through in what it's making me think of. As I mentioned in my 8 out of 10 review, there were a lot of holy smokes moments in this episode. But there is a bit of a pacing thing that just kind of gets me. And what I was thinking about, if you've ever taken a writing course, one thing they say is that sentences shouldn't be the same length. That means that it shouldn't be real short sentences like Joe caught the ball, Joe ran to a friend, they had dinner. If you have just a million short sentences, it's going to drive the reader crazy. But similarly, if you have a bunch of long sentences that just back after back after back of long sentences, the reader's going to have trouble with it. And there's something about this show in certain episodes where, because everything is so similarly paced and deliberately placed, it's tough for me. I thought there was a lot of great moments. I never agree with you when you say nothing happened. Lots of stuff happened, but sometimes the pace does get to me a bit. And so I'm going to use an example that I thought about, which isn't
Okay.
long at all, but I thought about this. So at the end of this episode 5, we see Carol. She sees the barcode on the bag. And then we have a shot of Carol thinking, huh. The next thing we see is a 6-second shot of the police car that Carol is driving pulling up to the Sprouts grocery store. Then we see an 11-second shot of Carol walking through the grocery store up to the cash register. So I'm only talking about 17 seconds. This isn't long at all. But because it's so similarly paced to everything else in the episode, I'm thinking, well, what else could you visually do to kind of give us a different pulse, to kind of wake the viewer up a bit, where sometimes those sentences, if they're all the same length, they put you to sleep. Literally, we see the barcode. We see a shot of Carol thinking. Literally, visually, they could have just cut to a shot of the police car parked in front of the Sprouts, like literally a 2-second shot, and then immediately cut to Carol at the cash register. Do we need an 11-second shot of her walking in the store? We don't actually need it. We could have, jump, 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 and the viewer would have kept up. We would understand, oh, there's a police car outside of Sprouts. Carol went there. Oh, Carol's at the checkout line. Oh, she's scanning the code. And so I think if the show would have these kind of different paces, I almost want to go back to the first episode where instead of kind of quick cuts and kind of faster pacing, they have that long shot in the truck, in the pickup truck, where we're looking through
Right,
and we
right.
see everything in the distance. And that's a real long, in some ways, slow shot. But because they've changed the visual rhythm of, cut every 10 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever it was, to a real long static shot, it kind of wakes us up. In certainly last week during the 10-minute section in South America, and at times in this episode, I think if they would just visually switch it up a bit, it wouldn't feel as slow. Like I said, lots happens. Hell, we might be dealing with Soylent Green, and the big question this week is it okay to drink your friends? But instead, this kind of slow pace, which people have talked about, it became the big question. And so those are some of my thoughts. Is there anything else you want to say or any specific moment in this episode where you're like, get on with it, skip ahead?
I felt that way about the driving to the household store, getting all the bricks, putting
Yeah.
them in the truck, taking them out of the truck, laying them down. Now I can understand if someone is wanting to like show how her life is very empty and to sort of feel her like drudgery.
Yeah, and how
But
difficult that would be to do it all by yourself without a community.
right, right. So that's understandable, but at a certain point, it becomes a little monotonous.
Well, yeah, and once again, they could be wanting us to feel that monotony of, hey, she's all like the city has abandoned her. Everybody, human being has abandoned her.
Right,
But you're right. There are times when you're just like, this is a challenge because once again, you're not being presented a lot more information.
right.
You're almost having to live through it with Carol,
I
the
mean, the
true
other
length
thing,
and struggle she has to do.
sorry, the other thing I wanted to say when you're talking about that long shot in the truck, which was don't forget they were playing with the idea that maybe Helen might pop up.
Oh yeah.
So there's a long shot and you're thinking, is something else going to happen? And in these shots we're talking about today, you don't think anything else is going to happen. So there's no sense of additional mystery to the scene or that there could be a spark to it somehow.
Catfish, I'm glad you mentioned that because in this episode 5, Carol is in bed. She has the empty space where Helen would be and the comical. And then there were none from Agatha Christie on the one of the bedside tables. We hear a noise and you think, oh, is somebody else in the neighborhood? What is it? And there is kind of once again, a slow shot of Carol getting out of bed, walking through the house. What's making that noise? What's making that noise? She gets to the window. She sees it's the wolves going through a trash can. And that I'm willing to bet a lot of people enjoyed because it, hey, what is this? There is a mystery of like, ooh, is it tense? Is there somebody there? I bet in that instance, people who have trouble with this pacing probably aren't as tough as they were on some of these other sections that you and I are talking about. But what did you think in that? Like, did you
Well,
want?
here's the funny thing is that this sort of just adds to my same feeling because the introduction of the wolves should introduce danger, right? I didn't
Mhm.
feel danger with
Not
the
even
wolf.
when she went out there when they were digging up poor Helen's grave. Whoa.
No, because I didn't feel like she was in danger. I
Okay.
mean, we all know end up who was being in danger. It was the wolves from Carol's continued crazy driving.
Listeners, we're debating this. Catfish, your rating was 7 out of 10. It wasn't like
Yeah.
you went down to five or
Well,
three
this
out
is
of 10.
I'm on the Matthew Murdoch scale
Oh,
for this show. Can't go any lower than 7.
gotcha. Listeners, what do you think? Are we being too tough? We've already read some of your feedback. We've got your feedback sprinkled throughout this podcast. Once again, it's weird to be bringing up this subject when the rest of the world might be chugging down delicious ice cold remains.
Hi, Carol. Hi,
But
Carol.
in fact, maybe my
Hi, Carol.
stumbling
Hi,
right there
Carol.
will get
Hi,
us to our
Carol.
next section, Catfish. What do you want to call everybody else besides the non-turned? Do you call them the joined? Do you call them the others, the hive mind? This week, Carol referred to them as the afflicted. Do you have a good name for the rest of humanity where Carol is not one of them? She's, I guess, an old school person. What do you call this new
Well,
this
Bubba,
new
we could. I
group?
did think of I wanted to think of a different name for them.
Sure.
I considered the life of Brianers. You are all different. Yes, we are all different. I have a certain feeling about them because I identify them in a certain way. And
Yeah, I
so
want to get to
let's,
this. Yeah, how do
okay, all
you
right.
identify them?
So I identify them as alien invaders. Okay, so let's keep our eye on the prize here. These are alien invaders. Let's call them hive mind, group, whatever. They're an alien, a virus that has taken over
Well, I want to
human
even pause
beings.
you right there. I do call them the
Okay,
joined in my own mind, but
okay.
the you call them an alien invaders, alien virus. There
Yep.
was nothing that wasn't of this earth that's gone on. These human beings, they are of this earth. Whatever that formula that was being made that kind of released everybody into the hive mind, it wasn't like, oh, we got this alien source from outer space and we made it and now we're all this way. No, maybe the code came from outer space, but all the ingredients are from Earth.
Well,
So say what
that's
you
why
want
I
to about
call
these
it.
people, but all these people are Earthlings.
There are, as there were lots of, was this talked about in the three body problem? What
Hmm.
show was this talked about when they were talking about different animals infecting other animals, being a
Yep.
virus, and being able to puppet these animals? So yes, even though they didn't come and take over us, that's why I refer to it now as kind of a virus, because
Okay.
it is a virus that has taken over and has sapped the human will from these individual people.
All right. Well, that's what we think. Listeners, what do you call them? Now, Vince Gilligan, in a couple of
Mhm.
interviews, have implied he calls them the others. But of course, after Lost, I'm not ready to, and the Game of Thrones books, I'm not ready to call any other group the others just yet. That's why, in my own mind, I think of them as the joined or the hive mind, or maybe now I'll think of them as the
Well,
afflicted, like Carol. I call them, I won't call them the others just yet, unless the show suddenly starts doing it all the time.
Bubba, even Vince Gilligan's not getting this right. You could only call them the other.
Ooh, I like that. Let's call up Vince. Hey Vince. Vince
Vince,
buddy.
get
Vince
it
buddy.
together, buddy. Vince, what are
Understand the
you
difference
doing?
between plural and singular.
Between pluribus and multiple bus and
Pluribus,
singular
pluribi,
bus.
the pluribi or
Pluribus I still remember conjugating my Latin.
hell yeah.
All right, Bubba.
Yeah.
Now, since we've gone through the serious stuff, now
Serious stuff.
we're gonna get into it. Now, this isn't completely ridiculous, but Bubba,
Yeah.
every week we are gonna say which Twilight episode are we in? Because the original Twilight episodes focused a lot on aliens, alien scares, and really kind of, but a lot of it was kind of how that affected our humanity
Yep.
and humans dealing with each other. So each week we're going to pick an old Twilight Zone episode that we think most parallels this episode.
Sure
And
thing.
we did have some feedback
Heck yeah.
to Zombie Italian. This show does have a connection to Twilight episode Third Rock. That
Hmm.
must be Third Rock from the sun. If you actually connect the Twilight Zone episode to this, the signal could come from the planet they left when they came to Earth in a stolen
Ah,
spaceship.
okay.
Oh, you know what? Maybe the third rock from the sun is the one where they're the new Adam and Eve. Anyway, whatever. They're both cool Twilight Zone episodes. Carol's last name is the same as the main character's last name in that episode, and
Hmm.
she could be his descendant. That is amazing. Now, Bubba,
Yeah.
you came up with one this week, which I thought was brilliant,
Hmm.
and I completely agree with you. So tell me which one it is.
Well, if you look at the original Twilight Zone, the third season, episode 24, it's
Hmm.
called To Serve Man. And The Simpsons mocked this in one of their perfect Halloween specials. And so I don't want to give too much away about it, but the gist of that Twilight Zone episode is now on a milk carton in Albuquerque.
I will give away everything about that
Oh, okay,
episode.
sure, sure.
They get some information. They have aliens visit them, and they're trying to decode this book that they found with the aliens. And the first thing they found out is called. First, the thing they find out is the title of it's called "To Serve Man," and they're like,
Yep.
"Oh, this is amazing." Unfortunately, at the end of the episode, they find out that it is a cookbook.
Heck yeah, how best to
So
serve
anyway,
man.
Bubba, I agree with you because
Whoa.
I was going to ask you if the next sentence she said was Soylent Green is people.
Let me ask you this.
Hmm.
Is there anything wrong with eating people? Are you going to answer this are you
Yes, yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm just going to give it a flat yes.
okay, well the joined aren't doing that. They're drinking people. So therefore, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, all right, okay.
Let me ask you
You know
this.
what?
Is
Perfect.
there is there a way that they could say they're drinking the remains of these millions, millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people who've passed away, to where you'll be okay with it, where you'll say, okay, if that's why they're drinking all these dead human beings, fine.
But why are they drinking them?
Well, it's wasteful. They hate waste, right? And so if you can get nutrients a different way, you've got all these dead human beings, sitting here. Why can't they be helpful by, providing vital, nutrients to the living?
So they're just drinking them just because they're around and available. It's not
It
as
would be
if they would
wasteful
need
not
this
to.
anyway.
Hold on, hold on. You're acting like this is bad.
I kind of am. Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. I
But
am kind of
but
acting like
but
this is
correct
bad.
me if I'm wrong.
Okay,
You
I will.
haven't tried it, have you?
No, no. There's
So
lots
do
of
you
things I
remember
haven't
how when you
tried.
were a kid and your mom's like, eat some spinach, and you're like, I don't like spinach, and she's like, you haven't even tried it. And what happened after you tried spinach?
I still hated it.
Poor, poor mama catfish. I'm so sorry.
I was the kind of kid where my mom would say you have to finish your peas before
Yeah,
you can leave the dinner table. I
good.
would take them like pills and then swallow them with milk.
Whoa. Well,
Yeah.
you ate them just like you should. There you go.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah.
this? How about this?
With man milk. Yes. Uh-huh.
Do you blame the wolves for wanting, these wolves, you understand wolves in an urban environment like Albuquerque, they
Hmm.
probably are kind of living off trash. And if there isn't trash anymore, what else are they going to eat but Helen's remains? Is there anything wrong with wolves eating Helen's remains?
Well, because they're not reasoning animals who can provide their own food.
Okay.
There's a difference between wild animals and people who consider individual beings to be precious and
Delicious, not
worth
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
delicious. All right,
What?
speaking
How
of
about the crow?
delicious,
How about the
Bubba,
crows? The crows, eat a lot of dead things, and there they were pecking on these bags.
yeah, again, if you're going to compare crows with the sentient beings
Hmm.
or a sentient being
Right.
and say,
Thank you,
look,
Vince
they've
Gilligan.
already
Singular.
said
Hi, Carol. Hi,
thank you, Vince
Carol. Hi,
Gilligan.
Carol. Hi,
All right,
Carol.
Bubba,
Hi,
let's
Carol.
move on
Hi,
from
Okay,
this
Carol.
let's move on.
ridiculousness
Sure.
onto something serious, which
Yeah.
is you gotta laugh. We
All
need some
right.
levity in these
Please.
episodes. And Bubba,
Yeah.
we got an extended chuckle tonight. I sort of laughed a little bit at the end of the recorded message. After everything that's
Yes.
happened, we just need a little space.
Heck
That
yeah.
was kind of funny. It wasn't that kind of thing that was funny and got funnier and then stopped being funny and then came back around being more funny. It was just funny the first time. But the whole entire bit with the drone was a very funny extended bit, and that's the kind of stuff we need in this show. Just like when the man was up in the working crane and he was getting dragged along the building, we need some stuff that laughs. And the drone having a hard time picking up the bag, and just you're like, is it going to make it? Is it going to make it? And then it wraps itself around a light pole. Chef's kiss.
People say the drone getting stuck on that light pole is almost this show's version of the pizza on the roof in Breaking Bad. Let me say that for my you gotta laugh moment, it
Yep.
was the recording message. And what I love is the hilarious Easter egg for everybody who watched Better Call Saul. There was an actor named Patrick Fabian who played the character Howard Hamlin on that show. And it's his voice who records the message telling her, our feelings for you haven't changed, Carol. But after everything that's happened, we just need a little space. I loved it. I love that Carol got frustrated that she had to keep hearing it. And I love that this wonderful actor, spoiler for Better Call Saul, but if you think about Howard and you think about his kind of final scene on the show, incredible. I'm glad he got to do it. So that was my
Hi,
you
Carol.
gotta
Hi,
laugh
Carol.
moment
Hi,
for
Carol.
All
episode
right,
Hi,
Bubba,
Carol.
let's
Hi,
get in.
Carol.
Let's
Hi,
get into the
Carol.
episode and talk about the things, specific things in the episode we liked and didn't like.
Now, did you catch on? What's funny is this is, 8 days right after this horrific event has
Right,
overtaken
right.
Earth. Now, on the fifth episode, I should catch on a bit quicker. You hear the phone ringing, and it takes me maybe two rings before I realize, oh, Carol, that's for you.
No, no, I
No,
realized it right away because they
nobody
don't
else needs
need
a call, right? Nobody else.
nobody else.
Who is the call from? It's from the true hero of this show so far, is
Mr.
Lacme.
Diabate?
No, it's Lackme.
No, she's
Her
so
son
mean. She's so
cried.
mean.
Carol drugged Zosha and was trying to get the truth out of her, and Lackme's son cried. Lackme, this was almost a laugh. I love it. Why do you do such things? Are you mentally unsound? Heck yeah, Lackme. And she just hangs up. Is Lackme ever going to somehow flip to Carol's side? Like, is she going to finally get past the point of this is kind of my son, but it's also not really my son anymore? What do you think? By the end of season one, will Lackme be on Carol's team?
I don't know if by the end of season one, but I think
Okay.
she definitely will be on
Okay.
Carol's team. It'll be funny because, I mean, we are learning, some could say frustratingly little more information
Hmm.
about the alien virus each episode. And this episode, we learn that they can be butthurt, as I said earlier.
This brings up a very interesting point, something you love to talk about with the joined.
Hmm.
Carol walks into Zosha's room. She asks the person in there working, or she asks the hive mind. She's like, is she going to be okay? The hive mind responds, she's going to be fine. Now, what's funny is the hive mind, what do they always say? We just want to help you, Carol. We feel the same way. So they are able to distinguish that Zosha, she may be an appendage, as some of our listeners like to write us, but they refer to her as she's going to be fine, not as we're going to be fine, Catfish. Does that make you feel more positive about individuality in the joint?
No, not at all.
Catfish, they said she's going to be fine.
Well, I think this is part of their whole butthurt attitude towards her now. No, seriously. I mean, we have this where there's very short to her,
Mhm.
and then after she gets off the phone with Lakshmi, she turns to a dude who it looks like a biker dude, and she's like, if she asks for my number again, don't give it to her, and he gives
Right.
her a very sort of cold, hurt,
Oh, yeah.
butthurt brush off. The butthurt brush off. That's what I should have called this. That's how I should have rated this episode. Oh man, the butthurt brush
Terrible.
off. Yeah.
Sure. You love saying butthurt. They have been
I
injured,
do.
man. One of their own was knocked into a coma, or they, once again, depending on how you describe it, they had a cardiac arrest. And so they're
Why? Because
taking,
they won't tell Carol simple information she's asking for. They want to make her
okay,
happy. You know
you
what make
tell
her
me your
happy? This
you
information.
hold on, you tell me your ATM pin number.
Okay, it is.
See? You're unwilling to tell. Why is it okay for the goose but not the gander? They don't want to say this one thing. Well, chill out.
No, they're very immature.
They're taking their ball and they're going home, Catfish. They've had
That
enough.
is true.
They are picking up and they are leaving. And what did you think when Carol goes up on this tall building? And to me, I thought, boy, the effects on her standing on this tall building are a bit wonky. And I saw somebody compare it to the rooftop scene in the room of, hey, hey, Carol. But because it's a special effect, obviously, but seeing all those cars leaving Albuquerque, this was one of my oh snaps. Man, oh man. And Carol is frustrated too. She's like, fine, good riddance, F you. Heck yeah, whoa.
This is some brilliant reverse psychology from the alien virus.
Yeah, heck yeah. You're gonna be rude to me, I'll be rude to you.
No, what they're saying is if you don't appreciate us,
If.
since you don't appreciate
Thank
us,
you.
you're going to live without us. I mean, we'll still do everything you need to do for you. We're not going to leave you all alone to fend for yourself, which would be yet another step they could take. But they're showing Carol that maybe she doesn't want to be all alone.
No, she
In,
doesn't. Let me ask you the question.
Mhm.
And listeners, once again, if you want to respond, if you're on audio podcasts, social media, way to reach us is at double PHQ on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter. Reach out and tell us. If you're on YouTube, go down in the comments. Catfish, when in your life have you ever been like completely by yourself and there isn't a human being like within 10 miles of you? Has this ever been an occurrence where you've been so by yourself and there isn't another human being within 10 miles? In some ways, I was like, oh boy, this is really scary. Have you ever been in a situation like that?
I know I've never been in a situation where nobody was around for, I would say maybe the only time I've been maybe like maybe a half mile,
Yeah, I'm thinking I
but
drove,
never in a space where no one was around me for 10, 20 miles.
right. I drove across country, and if you heard drive across the United States, so I was by myself in one of my drive across countries, and there were times on some of these highways where I like, boy, there I don't see anybody in any
Mm,
direction, but it's a highway. You know somebody's going to come in the next,
yeah.
20 minutes or whatever. And so this was a very creepy feeling. And if you're an alcoholic like Carol, this could be trouble. But in some ways, I think she's handling this pretty well considering. What do you think? How do you think
No,
she handles it?
I mean, well, it spurs her to, I mean, who knows if she could do it anyway, but she's spurred right into action.
Yeah.
She knows what she's going to do. She records a message to her 12 fellow survivors saying, there's a way we can undo this. They can't lie, which she discovered. It doesn't allow them to do that. So she's on the right track. We got to save these people. We owe it to humanity. And then she says, hey guys, deliver this,
Well,
deliver
then
this
she
to the
right.
12
Then
people
she
with
calls.
subtitles, right? She
Yeah,
calls and
she
she says,
calls
with,
them.
right. She calls the alien virus to come pick it up
Yeah.
and she tells them they have to subtitle it correctly.
Do you think
Um,
they did it? Do
I
you
mean,
think they did it?
considering they refuse to help her to give her this information, this is kind of tricky to me. I mean, it feels like it has to happen for the show, please. But also on the other hand, it's like, how far are they willing to go? Like maybe they changed their mind after they had the discussion about the grenade and the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, we can only go so far.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Do you like this drone? Now, this drone does have trouble in those winds around Albuquerque, but this is I live in a big city. We have these, kind of program delivery coolers. Have you seen those on all four wheels that'll
Oh
just,
yeah, uh-huh,
I
sure.
mean, would you want packages delivered to your house via a drone like this? Or is it like only on a non-windy day? What do you think
Well,
here?
I just what I love about it is they're really going out of their way to say, you don't want to interact with us live, you're not going to interact with us live. We're not going to give you a chance to talk to us in person. So I think they are really trying to put the squeeze on her.
What did you think about they'll say, sure, we'll pick up the trash, but now they're adding like little qualifiers to it. This is where you're going with, hey, we're not going to give you a nuke. We're thinking this through. Yeah, we'll pick up your trash, but again, we don't want one of us near you. And therefore, your bag can't weigh more than 17 pounds or it's going to destroy the drone.
Right, right, right. Like
Dang.
we're not gonna let somebody pick this up and handle it. We're gonna have a drone do it. Hilarious.
God, do
That
not
part was
use a
great.
drone to pick up my trash. I need real human beings picking up my trash. What a terrible mess.
Well, Bubba, have you ever had the people who come pick up your bins not pick up a bin
Oh
due to
man.
weight?
No,
One
no.
time I was
Oh, okay.
digging up something and I put a lot of dirt in
Oh
my green
no.
bin and they tagged it and said this was too heavy to, even though they're not picking it up. I don't know. The little bar must have some sort of weight thing on it because they were like,
Wow.
yep, no, yeah. So there you go. That would have been great to see a drone try to pick up that bin.
Man, oh man. Carol is she then has to pick up the trash who knows how many times because it gets caught on the light pole. And of course that plastic bag is going to rip. Now there's trash in the neighborhood. We know the wolves are attracted to trash. It all goes together. She goes in, it's like, okay, I'll put it in a trash can many miles away so they don't have to put up with me. That's where she starts seeing the milk cartons from Duke City Milk Company.
Woo.
Ooh, and she sniffs it. Is there alien goo in it? And the milk is going to play big into the cliffhanger. Let's get to the wolves and let's talk about them. Wolves, what do we know about them? They travel in packs, a bit like human
Right,
beings. We mentioned, hey, I
right.
don't think I've ever been in a place where I've been so isolated. So these wolves are hungry, hungry, hungry. Do you think the join, the hive mind, do they care about all the biosphere? These wolves need to eat. If they've been raised on, kind of scrounging trash and other things, would the hive mind start leaving them trash because these wolves need to eat? Or do you think the hive mind doesn't care? What do you,
That's
any
a
thoughts on
that's
this?
a great question, because the hive mind seems to have a policy, right? First of
Yeah,
all, they're like, we're not killing any of the animals.
right.
But on the other hand, are they doing anything to make sure the animals survive? That one I'm suspicious of. I think they're just going to let the rest of that kind of go wild and fend for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably, if the world were in a natural state and we were all huddled around fires for warmth, uh, and light,
Yeah.
the natural world sort of takes care of itself, right? I mean, if you feed the wolves, there's too many wolves, you start to lose something. If you're trying to like enforce your own balance in the biosphere, that's a lot of work.
Would they, well, but this also even goes to zoos. Didn't they say they let all these animals out in a previous episode? And we talked about, well, you can't just let a lion or an elephant or whatever raised in captivity. You can't just let it out of the zoo. It's not going to
Right.
know how to live. Like you've got to, is the hive mind care? What about all those pets that lived in all these homes? Certainly, all these domesticated animals need all the fish in these fish tanks. What's going on, Joined? Carol, you got to learn about them as you feed them your former friends.
On the other hand, if the Sprouts was closed, going to fish tanks would help Carol with her food problem. And
Uh,
also, she could put
yeah,
herself on a pescatarian diet.
here we go. Here we go. Carol, she's got nothing better to do, right? Like, so what she do? She investigates the milk cartons. She goes to the place. She sees, it's not any milk here. It's water with a white powdery substance. It doesn't smell. In the end, it creates this thing that's like olive oil. And what do you think about this, Catfish? Then she makes another video for everybody telling her remaining non-joined people, this is what's happening. But she curses. And what I love is as soon as she kind of gets frustrated with everything and curses, she's like, okay, I can't send that version. I got to do a second take. Just like our podcasts. All our podcasts are like the third or fourth take because we, get all our bad grammar out of the way early. I love it.
Not just a bad grammar, but just any kind of misstatements or slow periods. I mean, guys,
Yeah.
you have to realize this is the magic you get on the fourth take, not the first take. Imagine how
Oh,
bad the
yeah.
first take is.
I know. I can't believe you really started tasting human.
Bubba,
What?
there are times that we have had to retape a
There
podcast after
are.
like being an hour in, and it is emotionally debilitating.
As emotionally debilitating, listen to this terrible reference, which I've smoothed here for the fourth take, of the wolves digging up your loved one, Helen.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
let me
whoa.
ask you a question,
Whoa.
Bubba. Let me
Sure.
ask you a question. You're all the pro wolves,
Yeah.
pro guppies in the fish tank.
Yeah.
Would you rather, you got to pick one or the other, would you
Sure.
rather that the wolves eat Helen or the alien virus drinks Helen?
Oh boy. It's like my buddy Elton saying, it's the circle of life. And so whether it's feeding wolves or feeding the hive mind,
Oh,
everybody's
you're
got to
good.
eat.
You're good either way. Okay. All right. That's good. Good
Now,
to know.
now this we're
Good to know.
specifically talking about Helen. I didn't really know
Hi, Carol. Hi,
Oh,
Carol.
I'm
Helen
sorry.
didn't read my
I'm
book.
sorry. I'm
Get her,
sorry.
wolves. She didn't finish reading my book. Get her,
Oh, okay.
wolves.
So you are saying the wolves are worse, bit
But
worse
no,
to be eaten by wolves than drunk by the alien virus.
you're fresher if you're eaten by the wolves.
Oh, so you're saying the alien virus,
Yeah.
they have to keep all those bodies cold and fresh.
Well, okay, let's get to this. Listeners,
Okay.
if you've been paying close attention in episode, I believe it was 2, when we first meet Zosia, what is she doing, Catfish? She is helping collect bodies. Where are they putting those bodies? In that episode, the second episode of the series, they put it in a refrigerated truck. In that truck, on the side of it is a big milk carton. If you watch, I believe it's this episode 5, it may be episode 4, but I think it's this episode 5. When Helen goes to the hospital, what's outside the hospital? A refrigerated truck with milk on with a picture of milk on the side of
Oh,
it. So,
man.
milk, it does the body good.
And the alien virus.
Yeah, either way, either way. Now, do you love, I mentioned this scene earlier, but Carol is active. She's making these videos and then she's going to detective work. Hey, there's a barcode on this. The aliens need barcodes? I guess they do. So they're like, okay, well, who put this, who makes this bag? She compares it to every other bag in the supermarket, I suppose, and they cut that out, thank goodness. She finds, okay, this bag matches a bag that goes to a local dog food place. She goes to the place where they package the dog food, and that's where she opens a refrigerated door into the warehouse. And Catfish, have you spoiled Soylent Green for everybody who hasn't seen that movie yet?
Is it possible to spoil a movie that is
Have
older
you
than I
actually seen it?
am?
I've never seen it.
I've never actually seen it either. This is a good question here.
Sure.
This has got to be a fake out, right? It's not what we think it is. It's not exactly what we think it is.
I think that's true. I think that they've shown us the hive mind putting dead bodies in trucks that are refrigerated with milk on the side. Then they sew this. They're human beings are a part of this. Now, it may be more there's a part of me that thinks there is going to be some bizarre way that they explain this away, but I think it is. I think this delicious, olive oil substance is like human remains.
All right. Well, and so then we have to figure out why they need to survive on human remains. And
What
so
if,
that'll take us into season 3.
well, what if, it's
Yes.
part of the hive mind? Somebody passes away, you're losing an appendage, you're losing a piece. So what if you can kind of keep them in the hive mind by feasting on them?
Okay, and so then what you're really doing is you're not really eating them, you're just incorporating them
Yeah,
into the hive mind.
right, into a balanced diet.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
All
Hi,
right,
Carol.
okay.
Hi, Carol.
That
Hi,
makes
Carol.
sense. Well, we're gonna find out next week. But
Mm,
before that, Bubba, we got more to
well,
do here. We've got
more
to
to
talk
do.
about our skin suit of the week, the
Mm.
Hive MVP. Now, this one's going to be tough, Bubba, because
Oh,
they basically all said, later, Carol. Later, Carol.
oh,
I'm going to say the biker dude in the
what?
hospital
Oh, come on.
when she says, don't give Lakshmi my number, and he gives her the "you're not the boss of me anymore" look.
That is great acting. I'm going to give it to the woman in the hospital with tattoos because she had 2 scenes, and all she does is what they want her to do. She is perfect at doing what all of them do, stuff. So she's pushing a wheelchair, and then she's standing in line and getting on the bus. So because I remember you, woman with the tattoos in the hospital, you're my skin suit hive MVP.
All right. Also, just a little side note. I
Yeah.
am expecting
What?
that people like the biker.
Oh, okay.
People like the person you're talking about, even though they're not speaking. I
Yeah,
assume they are hired as a co-star
I
because
hope
they are
so.
giving a performance, just not in background. I hope so
Hi,
too.
Carol.
All right,
Hi,
Bubba,
Carol. Hi,
this
Yeah,
is
Carol.
our
Hi, Carol.
last
Hi,
segment
Carol.
before
Hi,
we get
Carol.
into feedback, listener
yeah.
feedback. We've always got to talk about this. Pluribus or you us? Based on this episode, where would you rather live? In Pluribus or in the US right now?
Do you
Now,
want to
we
read
got
this
some
feedback?
feedback. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Jelly Cabral on YouTube says, I don't live in the US, but I would choose Pluribus for the same reason that Catfish gave last week. Thank you very much, Jelly Cabral. Let's see if you agree with me this week.
Here we go. So where are you going to live, Catfish? You got two
All
options.
right,
Let's hear it.
Carol
Yes.
is living in the middle of nowhere. Even the hive mind won't talk to her, and she's in danger of getting eaten by wolves.
Yeah.
So clearly this week I would prefer to live in Pluribus.
Come on. How could you possibly make that choice?
Reasons. Hashtag reasons. What
Well,
about you, Bubba? All right, so I chose Pluribus, so
yeah.
clearly you've mocked me. So what is your choice this week that is not Pluribus?
Well, hold on. This is a trick that I think you need to comprehend. You're making it
Okay.
pluribus or the US. I
Yeah.
can live in pluribus, but I can get on the bus with everybody else. I haven't upset them. So I'm living in pluribus. I don't have to live out by myself being eaten by wolves. I can be on the bus heading to wherever we go. I can help make that
No,
delicious substance.
there is you and
Yeah.
Mr. Diabate would be fighting over all the resources that are presently in Las Vegas.
We're going to see. He's in next week's episodes. I can't wait. Guys,
Thank
we
God.
love feedback. You tell us, do you have a Hive Mind, a Hive player of the week? Do you have a choice of living here in the United States of 2025 or living in the world of Pluribus? Let us know. And you guys have let us know so much stuff. On to moving on to feedback. We had this great person, love him, David Hibbler on Facebook, who came to our Facebook page at Double PHQ, Double P Media. And he said, hey, I just want you to know I've got a group here on Facebook which is posting Hive Mind Carol memes. And if you love this show, heck, you've listened to all these long podcasts about the show, and if you have a Facebook account, go check out Pluribus posting and Hive Mind Carol memes. They are some very funny memes. Thank you, David.
Love it. And Carl Love
Oh, he
says,
disagreed with me.
he says, I believe Better Call Saul is a better show than Breaking Bad.
Thank you, Carl. Once again, I say my feelings. I'm not trying to convince you to think like me. I want you to think like yourself. So maybe I am anti-hive mind. Thank you,
Also,
Carl.
I do, Carl, I want you to bring the pain to Bubba every single week.
Hey,
I
now.
love it. I love it.
How about a great listener, Skeptical Zach? He wrote, hi,
Uh-huh.
Catfish and Bubba. I know what you did that one summer with Donnie. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. You're saying they got the wrong person?
No, no, I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got
Yeah.
feedback on episode 4 from Nanny_God who said, I love the episode and especially the cold open.
Heck yeah.
Always curious to know what others think about the episode, even if it's the opposite. Stick with us, Nani.
Thank you so much. A longtime loyal listener and a good Facebook and Instagram follow. Our buddy Bill Cava wrote, I love hearing the other side of the phone call between Carol and the gentleman in Paraguay. Also, when I see them, I'm thinking Keymaster and Gatekeeper and Bill Murray saying, we got to get these two together. Heck yeah, Bill. Thank you.
That is awesome. And really cool said, definitely curious about Benuto's thinking and processing.
Okay.
Not bored, just horrified as he resorts to eating dog food rather than accept food from the hive. Like seeing the phone call from his end, now he knows Carol is out there.
Heck yeah. We've already heard from Zombie Italian when he was talking about that Twilight Zone episode. He says, hi,
Hi,
Carol.
Carol.
And he gives episode 4 8 FZs out of 10.
Oh, FZs?
Effable Zojas. Woohoo, sexy.
Oh, so wouldn't that be easies then?
He says that line when Carol said it just cracked them up. He said, unlike me, and I love it, everybody is giving me this feedback where they disagree with me, where they said they love that first 10 minutes that showed the situation down in Paraguay well. He says, here's a tinfoil hat theory. We love these too. How do you say his name again, Catfish? I'm going to mess it up. Manuos?
Menusos. I'm
Menusos.
probably saying it wrong too, but I say it with confidence.
No
That's all that
problem.
matters.
He says, is Menusos immune or just not infected? He was isolated in the storage facility and the hive didn't know about him. I do believe Carol will find him or he'll find Carol, and he may still get infected after meeting. Oh no, that'd be
Hmm.
terrible. But
Wow.
Zombie Italian is one of these people. We love these debates, and there's no right or wrong. He says, I still don't like Carol, but I root for
Hmm.
her over the hive mind. Oddly, I do agree with Catfish
Yeah.
that Carol is playing nice is I would also be using a big stick, not child gloves. And since it's a few, very few versus the world of the hive mind, if you just lose an appendage, so be it. I wouldn't have you used Zosia with the drugs. I would have used someone else. And Zombie Italian, hey, he's happy with the pacing for a mystery box show. Let's enjoy the ride and see where we end up. Wonderful feedback.
Bubba, I have to tell you, this reminds me of I went to see Attack the Block.
Oh yeah,
It's a British film about
yeah.
an alien attack
John Boyega.
in South London. Yep, John Boyega. And what happens is these kids who are little hooligans end up taking down the aliens.
Love it.
Uh, and my friend who saw the movie, he said he was rooting for the aliens. That's how much he hated the kids. So
Wow.
listen, I gotta think you gotta
Wow.
stick with your species. So even
Okay.
if you think Carol is a miserable person,
Yeah.
well, you gotta root for Carol. I'm sorry,
Dang.
you can't be speciesist.
Dang. What did Dennis say, Catfish?
All right, Dennis Christo says, I particularly love the camera work, the contrasting POV angles, the way they were framed, and the symbolism they evoked. The structure of the Menuso scenes, the Larry and self-made video while under the influence of sodium pentothal were top drawer choices. That said, I hit the translator after watching the episode too, but I found that Turca, besides meaning Turkish, also has other connotations when used in Spanish slang or
Mm,
denotations.
mm.
Depending on the region's dialect, it can refer to a persistent obsession or activity, a bout of heavy drinking, or someone who's clever,
Oh,
cunning,
wow.
headstrong, and determined to get what they want. Interesting how any of those could be applicable to Carol's surname, Sturka, given the context of Manuso's journal note. Hmm.
Dennis, so good. Now, last week's big question, big debate
Hmm.
was Carol's treatment of the joined, of the hive mind? Was it terrible or was it okay? We got so much feedback on this. Silicon Avatar wrote, Carol is absolutely right. The entire planet is at risk. Whoever sent this is probably on their way to take possession of Earth. Zero resistance. Humanity is doomed if Carol fails.
You know,
Ooh,
this is an interesting point that one of our listeners was making last week, but I didn't quite catch on,
yeah.
is this being a precursor to us being taken over by another species,
Oh
that this
no.
is just softening us up for the kill?
I hope not. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
All right, Nullifier Pro says Carol is wrong. The
Whoa.
bombs already fell. She's trying to go back to something that isn't there anymore.
Dang. Reenie6, a great listener, wrote, I don't see how we know whether or not the joined are human or not. I think the jury's still out. I liked episode 4. I thought Carol's plan was ingenious but risky. I hope Zoja survives.
Okay, so you can put that down. Rini is pro alien virus.
The jury's out, Catfish. The jury is out.
No, I disagree because Carol gets info that they can be brought back. Tom Donahue says the others are not human, but try not to hurt them.
How about that? Will you go with Tom Catfish who loves hurting these other human beings?
I think we've just got a mutually assured destruction
Oh
pact at
boy,
this
okay.
point. So far, they're the only ones they're fighting.
Heck yeah. The Nathan Geck, who has given us many great comments, they wrote, Carol did not make the hive mind cry. It was a hive reaction to Zosia crying because of her human self and her host. Those two were at war. Hmm.
Ooh, that is amazing. That
Okay.
would be fat. That would really step this up. If you think of the people in there trying to fight, being trapped, kind of seeing behind the eyes.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it because, we kind of take the hive mind at their word, even though they're an alien virus, that they're all pulled together and there is no individual now. But I really love this idea.
Okay.
Now,
Thank you,
Bryson
Nathan.
1995 says the Hive has never really intentionally tried to harm anyone.
Yeah.
Kind of makes Carol look unhinged.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I felt sorry for the Hive being hurt. Bryson, what did I tell you? Don't break team.
Feel good work, Bryson.
Don't break team.
Come
Don't break human
on.
team.
Come on, a
All right.
great
Oh,
listener, Gen X
yes.
Cat Mom. She's got something to say to me. She says, Bubba, I am glad, so glad you are coming around to how bad Carol is. She's a menace. Carol continues to annoy me. Her treatment of the tall guy and Zosia were uncalled for. She's a wrecking ball. Heck yeah, Gen X Cat Mom, all mod cons on Blue Sky.
Gen X Cat Mom also breaking team. All right. Wayne Rogers says, my
Wayne,
take on Carol is she's acting as almost any rational person might do given her backstory and the bizarre circumstances which have caused her wife's death. Not
okay.
to mention the entire landscape she finds herself in is a post-apocalyptic nightmare. She
Yes.
falls into her habitual ways of dealing with stress and grief, abusing alcohol and lashing out verbally.
Hmm.
If Zosia dies, this would be the third time Carol has committed involuntary manslaughter or hive slaughter.
How about voluntary manslaughter?
No, that's what I would be doing by
No, no.
upsetting them every 15 minutes.
Here we go. Another pro Carol comment from Palm. They wrote, all the way, Carol. She is fab.
Love it.
Firstly, we are at war. Humanity got invaded.
Yes, that's team.
Reminder, the joined killed 886 million people. You think finding the cure and reversal is not going to take some lives? These are called casualties of war.
Let's do it.
Also, instead of killing 11 million, Carol is minimizing the damage now. How on earth will she find a way to beat them if she can't experiment a bit? Carol is doing exactly what should be done.
Exactly. And once again, loyal listener Pat Spanagle says, to address Bubba clutching his metaphorical pearls over Carol drugging Zosia without her consent, please rewatch episode 1, where
Yeah.
the scientist played by the very funny Karen Sony, the Mumbai Spider-Man in the second Spider-Verse movie,
Yeah.
is licking donuts, which can only be considered a magnitude order of badness since it affected at least more than one person and the affected people suffered ego death as opposed to possibly being made to tell the truth and get some short-term memory loss. Okay, Zosia did have a heart attack, but I'm not convinced that was an effect from the sodium pentothal, and
Uh-huh.
instead the stress on her already weakened system being interrogated by Carol, fighting her own drug neurology and the will of the others trying to silence her, agreeing with our other listener. For all we know, the others gave Zosia a heart attack to shut her up and only
Whoa.
saved her because it might make Carol big upset if they conspicuously let her die. Bubba,
What?
Carol is trying to save the human race. We need to keep that in mind.
I'll never
Oh
keep that in
man,
mind.
I'm not sure if this might be the most that Patman has ever agreed with me on anything. I'm going to give it, and just to upset Ms. Catfish, he agrees with me 110%.
How could you? How could you?
That
Now,
drives Ms. Catfish
listen to
crazy.
this. Listen to
Anything over
this.
100% is not possible. Okay, go ahead.
Listen to this. Somebody wrote with the handle Any Violet. They wrote, the Blood Song of Wakaro reading, the purple prose is simply hilarious. Also, the guy in the purple shirt, that was me last week, and I should point out it was a burgundy shirt, not purple. But she said the guy in the purple shirt is 100% right. You do have a right to defend yourself, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be killing human beings in the process, and you have a duty to make a calculation when considering actions. That is exactly what Carol is doing, trying to make a calculation of the exact harm caused while defending herself. You are not only a human being if you have agency. That is kind of horrifying that one of you named Catfish thinks so. But there are so many human beings on Earth who, for scores of reasons, are temporarily or permanently out of agency. Within this world's rules, if there's a way to reverse this, Zosia's chances of returning to agency on being after she was killed would be zero. She wouldn't ever have a chance to return. She'd be dead. Catfish said, you got to break a few eggs as it ends justifying the means argument. That is terrible. To prevent even more deaths, we have to accelerate the process. I've been thinking about what that means. It means those 886 million deaths were foreseeable, and they did it anyway to meet their ends. Listen, we can't have any means necessary. Peace and
No,
love. Hmm.
I love that she said so they can miss me with that utilitarian peace and love BS. I love it. Bubba,
Yeah.
I mean the feelings on this show is just
Yes.
amazing
Incredible.
that we have people on both sides who are justified in their feelings, both
Yes.
for and against Carol. And in this case, against Carol and against the hive mind. I
Pick a
love it.
side.
All right. Chris Laska says, first off, the hive
Yep.
mind is pretty weak if they can't turn off a node when Zosie is drugged. How are the mentally ill behaving?
Yeah.
Also, bike clothes guy still has his bike clothes on, but he's changed his shoes and glasses. So what's going on? He doesn't need to change clothes anymore? Are they not bathing?
Oh no.
Everyone is going to start to smell horrible.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this is important. Our listeners picking out the big and also small but very important things.
Thank you. A great listener with the handle DV wrote, I don't know what to think about Zosia turning into South Park's Kenny, OMG. I think
Yeah.
that last week's episode was interesting. We know more about the hive and we know more about Carol's past as well. Those first scenes of everybody always tell a lot of story. There was the origin of the virus, Zosia's trip from Morocco to Carol, one of my favorites up till now, the Ice Hotel, and now Menusos.
Beautiful.
I think that he can become an important character. He seems like a real misanthropist. Did he flip over his mother's dish? So, they brought him the food and he flipped it over. Was that from his mom, is what DV is wondering.
Oh,
Great
that's
question.
probably good. All right. And Sapito says, Catfish, the reason the Hive liked the book is because it helps some people. The
Yeah.
suicidal woman, for example.
Heck yeah.
Any work or art that helps humanity, the Hive will love it. That's their parameter. Did it help humanity? Yes. Shakespeare did that too. That's why Carol's book is as good as Shakespeare's. And the only thing I will respond to
That was
Sapito
my
is
argument.
there are people who love the anarchist cookbook that shows you how to blow people up. There are people who were helped by reading Ted Bundy's
Oh no.
letters,
Oh
his
no.
excuses for blowing people up. Just because some people, and there are a lot of people who like effed up things, were helped, doesn't mean that it was good.
Okay.
And also, a lot of the hive mind hated that book. Anyway,
Hey,
all right. Sapinos goes on to say the operating word here is aliens.
exactly right.
Unfortunately, the show started with aliens, but now it wants us to forget that and consider our human condition. Who matters more, the individual or the collective? To me, that is the point of the show. Is there a middle point where both the collective and the individual can be at peace? Human condition is our natural greed and selfishness, which comes when living on this planet. Life
Hmm.
here can only be at peace if we learn to share. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Like, don't do to others what you would want done to you. It says, if it were really aliens, I would be with Catfish. But the show is moving towards showing us that whatever happened, these are human beings who can still feel emotional pain. So I'm with the other guy.
Wait, you
You
know
can't just go,
Catfish's name, but not mine. Hey, what's going on
yeah, the
here?
other guy.
Yeah.
Those are human beings who can still feel emotional pains. So you can't just go killing people. The show will take us to a different problem, our humanity. Stand your own ground is one problem with humanity. We use that reasoning to kill people we simply don't like for their skin color, etc. It's our mindlessness that is at question here. And this is what
Wow.
I love. I think, but I really feel like this is where people are kind of breaking this down. They're not saying us versus them. This show is really is really talking about and making people think about like, how do we achieve the good
Yeah.
in the world?
100%. The way you can get good listeners is by
Yep.
giving us feedback at Double PHQ. If you listen to audio podcasts, give us a like, subscribe, please
Yeah, all
rate it
that.
on YouTube. We need it. If you want to yell at me, the other guy, I'm on social media at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on social media.
And I am Catfish, also known as the guy not in the purple shirt. And you can hit me up at G to the man, that's GeeTotheman on Blue
Blue
Sky
Sky and
and
Instagram.
Instagram. Thank you very much. Next week, episode 6, HDP. Carol
HTP.
shares a horrific discovery. horrific discovery, people. That's what ATP stands for. Carol shares a horrific discovery and learns new truths in the process. Mr. Diamante lives life to the fullest in Sin City. That is great. And we will talk to you next week on Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi,
Purple
Carol.
shirt man.
The guy in the
purple
green shirt was so smart this
shirt.